Obviously, I don't see that as an appropriate comment. I think, look, what we're trying to do around here is improve the tone and the civility of the debate, and this obviously doesn't help do that.
I'm appalled. This is the President of the United States. You don't do things like that.
Was it sexist, the attack?
Absolutely.
I wish that he hadn't made the tweet, which says it all, as far as I'm concerned.
He has lost the trust, and I will vote for nothing until he steps down.
Well, that last part is likely not to happen, but there's a sampling today of what happened here in Washington with a reaction to the early morning tweet sent by the president from the White House. Want to bring in our panel right now, Mo Elleithee, Executive Director of the Georgetown Institute of Politics, Mercedes Schlapp, columnist for the Washington Times, and syndicated columnist Dr. Charles Krauthammer, 3 nights in a row, and good evening to all of you. So there was that today. Mercedes, do you want to begin some sort of defense, or how would you like to characterize your reaction?
This is what always makes it difficult for the Trump supporters who believe that the president has the right agenda for America, but then he gets distracted when he sends out these tweets, which are incredibly disappointing. I mean, there's no need to be talking about this anchor's appearance in any way or these personal attacks. With that being said, that particular show has been a relentless smearing campaign against the president. They have called him from a fake president to questioning his mental ability to be president and having personal attacks against the president himself. And the president, you know, it was coming to them. The president did not stay quiet. With that being said, the president has now made these 2 television anchors into the heroes of the mainstream media and the left.
Oh, you brought up the program, and I want to play a little clip of what we believe they were discussing right before the tweet was sent out, tweets I should say, and also a little sample of the flavor for the show in case the audience doesn't watch. This is kind of how it goes against the White House on that program on a daily basis. Watch here.
Nothing makes a man feel better than making a fake cover of a magazine about himself, lying every day and destroying the country.
Okay.
It's a good feeling.
Well, where are your hands in that photo?
Well, he's covering his hands here because they're teasy.
I think he's such a narcissist. It is possible that he's mentally ill in a way.
My mother's had dementia for 10 years. That sounds like the sort of thing my mother would say today.
So the program's highly critical. That's
It's
evident.
a Never Trump network. I mean, let's be real.
Mo, what do you think of this?
I'm getting really tired of just the tone of the conversation. Mercedes and I do not agree on almost anything, but I call her a friend. We come on Fox News and we disagree with each other vehemently. But I would never say the things that he says, and I don't think she would ever say the things,
but would you say the things that Mika said?
Now, do I think the president is less than truthful sometimes? Yeah, I think quite often. Do I need to talk about his hands? No.
Right.
Does the president think the media is treating him unfairly? Absolutely. He does. Does he need to talk about someone's appearance? Absolutely not. The tone is poisonous right now, and it's degrading and deteriorating everything. It's degrading and deteriorating trust in all of our institutions. That has to stop.
You mentioned the agenda. Let me come back to that. But Sarah Huckabee Sanders was on our program, America's Newsroom, earlier today, and this was the White House pushing back and with their explanation. She said this.
I don't think that the president's ever been someone who gets attacked and doesn't push back. There have been an outrageous number of personal attacks, not just to him, but to, frankly, everyone around him. People on that show have personally attacked me many times. This is a president who fights fire with fire and certainly will not be allowed to be bullied by liberal media and the liberal elites within the media or Hollywood or anywhere else.
And she said a lot of the same a bit later at the briefing room this afternoon. Charles, how do you capture the events of tonight?
Look, I think what he does, the damage done by these kinds of tweets, are at 2 levels. The first is, I agree with Mo, it degrades the political discourse and it embarrasses the country. Presidents, Dianne Feinstein, I think, was right. Presidents don't talk like this. They never have. This is what it sounds like when you're living in a banana republic. This is how Hugo Chavez would talk about his opponents. This is how the worst dictator, Duterte, in the Philippines, would talk about opponents. It's degrading, and it reduces the United States from a grand republic to a banana republic.
His supporters.
Last time I checked, President Trump is not shutting down the press. Last time I checked, he's not sending military guards to go shut down CNN or MSNBC. He has the right to basically state his opinion. We might hate it. I don't like it. Some of these tweets should not happen, but he has the right to do it. Is it presidential? No. But to also say that Mika can go out there and make these continuous allegations, personally attacking the president, it gets old, Charles. It totally gets old. Where's the objectivity from these journalists?
When you defend the President of the United States by pointing out that he hasn't sent the tanks out in the streets to shut down the media, you've reached a fairly low level of defense.
But you're talking about Hugo Chavez,
I'm talking
Charles.
about the tone and the degrading of the politics, and that is on the level of Hugo Chavez. There's one other thing here. It's not just the effect it has on the agenda, the fact that it's a distraction and all that, yes. But tweeting is the most direct avenue to the id. There's no more uncensored, unfiltered avenue from the id to tweeting. And what we're seeing is we're getting a look into the psyche of the president. And what we're seeing is a vindictiveness, a cruelty, a lack of temperateness, a lack of self-control, which is truly shocking. And that's what I think people are reacting to. Not that it distracts. Of course it distracts, but that's a political effect. The problem is we have elected this man. He's legitimately elected, will be in office till 2020. He's the most powerful man on earth, and this is what his character is like?
That is.
I mean, I think I've pretty much have explained my position on this. I do believe that these tweets are unnecessary. They're beyond a distraction. Right now, the president should be going off to Maine, to Nevada, talking about the health care bill, supporting these
Ohio,
Republican senators
Iowa,
to
Missouri.
get this bill done. These personal attacks are not acceptable. With that being said, I think we do have to lay out the fact that there are these shows that clearly have an agenda, and that agenda is very clear, Bill. That agenda is to delegitimize this president. It is to call the president names, personal attacks day in and day out, and it gets old, and the president has had it. And he pushed back. I don't like it. I wouldn't have not done it in that way, but he pushed back on those individuals.
There were people in public life, this president included, who spent years trying to delegitimize his predecessor. There were people in the media who spent years trying to delegitimize his predecessor. His predecessor did not wage the same kind of war on the media that this president has.
You cannot compare the attacks that President Obama has had to the attacks that President Trump has had on the media.
You're right. I think many against President Obama were worse, right? I think what we see, there is a difference between straight journalism and there is a difference between opinion shows. There's a lot of opinion shows out there. There are a lot of opinion commentators there. It's kind of the wild, wild west on both sides of the aisle. But at the end of the day, if I don't like what any one opinion show says, I can change the channel.
And if you don't like the president, if you don't like the person that was running as president, you can vote against that person.
But I got 3.5 more years of him. I don't have a lot of options here.
Let me squeeze
I want him to be better.
Our Fox polling came out today. Do tweets help or hurt the agenda right now? 71% on screen of the people that we surveyed and polled says it hurts his agenda. At the same time, you have this throwback. Jeb Bush came out today with a tweet. Inappropriate, undignified, unpresidential. I felt like I was in a campaign a year ago already. In the larger picture, you know, Charles is talking about separating the politics from the person. In the larger picture, Mercedes, you had a lot to crow about today. The travel ban goes in effect in about an hour.
Yeah.
You had a victory of the U.S. Supreme Court just days ago. You've got these immigration bills that have passed in the House successfully there. You had an energy speech today. All of that was part of the campaign, and we're not talking about any of it.
You're right. And like I mentioned, it is a huge distraction for this president to be tweeting out personally attacking this anchor. Obviously, they have had a very contentious relationship. It's very hot and cold. They were best friends, and now they're enemies. And it's unfortunate. I think it's unfortunate for the president. I think he could utilize his time wisely to focus on an agenda that actually is helpful to Americans, which is that of economic and national security.
We've got more to talk about, okay?